Okay, good morning, everyone. Are we blessed today? Thank you, thank you. We actually have a lot of items to talk about today, a lot of items. Before I get started, I want to bring up, how many did get the tote bags that we had with a lot of variety of stuff out there? So I want to give it up for not 1 year, not 12 years, but now we're moving into our 16th year as your city councilman. We just got reelected, and I want to give Claudette Matthews. Claudette Matthews, please come forward. So now that we have the election results, they're outside as well, but I want to let you know who's on my side, that stays with me regularly and communicates with you on a regular basis. Please help me recognize Claudette Matthews.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm standing before you this morning to share with you about the Special Olympics. How many of you have heard that the Special Olympics are coming to Los Angeles? Okay. So Special Olympics World Games 2015 will be coming to Los Angeles from July 25th to August the 2nd. There will be 25 sports competitions. They will be held over 7 days, and they will have venues from Los Angeles from Griffith Park to Long Beach to UCLA, a variety of venues where events will be held. Inglewood has stepped up as a host city, and what that means is we're hosting one of the delegations from the 177 countries that are coming to Los Angeles for the Olympic event. So we will be hosting the nation of Jamaica. They will be coming, and we will be hosting them on 3 days prior to the Olympics. That's July 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. On your tables is a sign-up sheet. We would like to have representation from District 4 for the volunteer committee that is going to host the group that is coming from Jamaica. We have approximately 50 athletes and 50 chaperones that will be coming from Jamaica. They will be staying at a hotel in Los Angeles, but we will be bringing them to Inglewood so that they can participate in Inglewood, understand what Inglewood's all about. We can share our culture, our history with them, and we will have some type of welcoming ceremony. This is currently still being scheduled, as well as a closing event. And so on your tables, again, is a sign-up sheet. We want to find out if there's any of you that would be available, and I need you all day if you can sign up. And July 21 to 23 is a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We will be hosting them. And so we want to encourage as many District 4 residents as can to sign up. We do have a number that we're looking for as far as volunteers, and anything over that, we will look to possibly assist in other areas as we prepare for the Special Olympics. Now keep in mind too that these are athletes with intellectual disabilities. They are not physically disabled, they are intellectually disabled. And so we're not dealing with wheelchairs and that kind of thing. We are dealing with people who have special skills and talents who are considered athletes in their respective athletic professions. So again, if you would sign those lists, I will pick them up at the end of the meeting. And if you have any questions, you can come see me at the table at the end of the meeting. Okay? Thank you.
It's now my distinct pleasure to recognize our distinguished coach, our distinguished quarterback, the man of the hour who not only reaches out to the council, he reaches out to the community, and he has the ear of the community. And one thing I really enjoy working with this particular person is the fact that he has an open door policy. Not only does the person we go to his office, he graciously comes to our office, and we bounce off ideals and visions. Please help me recognize our distinguished mayor, James T. Butts, Jr.
Thank you, Councilman. I was proud in November. I won with 83% of the vote, and then Councilman Franklin came along, won with 100% of the vote. So he's so scary, nobody runs against him. But I want to say congratulations, give him a big hand for his re-election. On Thursday, we had a State of the City address. And for those of you that couldn't come, I'm going to just talk about some of the high points that I think everybody should be aware of. And the first high point is that we're a team here in the city of Inglewood. You guys ever remember that show Hawaii Five-0? Well, we call us Inglewood 5-0 because we're always together. Guys, you can applaud for that. But you know where we've come from, and so I'm going to share with you some of the things that we've done to avoid the things that took other cities into bankruptcy, like Stockton, Vallejo, Detroit, San Bernardino. And so we've first had to be realistic about what our budget could afford. We had to right-size the employee workforce, and we had to contract out for some services that it was just better for the private sector to do. And that's going to have some results that you're going to see later on in the presentation. But we outsource tree trimming. We enter into a public-private partnership for parking control, which means we share in the revenue still, but private vendor does the work. And what does that mean? It means that we have constant staffing. There are no sick days, no vacation days, no comp days. If we contract for 25 employees for traffic control and for parking control, that's what we have every single day. So look at just a tree trimming contract. We used to have three tree trimmers, and they would cut about 1,200 trees per year. We have about 19,000 trees in the city in our inventory, so what that means is that your tree could get trimmed at least once every 20 years. So we contracted out at a savings of $500,000 a year for a company to give us 5 tree trimmers, and now we can do $6,000 a year, meaning your tree could get trimmed ostensibly every 3 years, but you know it doesn't have to be done but every 4. So that's an amazing benefit for the residents. Could you hit the next slide? Street sweeping. We used to have 2 street sweepers. One was always off injured, and so the other one would go around the city and push trash to the next block because they had to move so fast. So that wasn't really working for us. Now we've contracted with a company for 5 sweepers. I forget the savings. I think that was also $500,000 a year in savings. So starting 2 weeks ago, I believe, we have 5 street sweepers every day working the city. No sick days, no comp days, no vacation days, because we are required to receive the services of 5 street sweepers. Next slide. And we already talked about parking control. Keep going. Okay, and general fund reserves. When I took office in February 2011, that's the second bar. We started the year, which is the bar here, fiscal year 10-11, with our last $13 million in the bank. We were burning reserves at the rate of $50,000 a day on the average, because that's how much money we were spending in excess of what we were taking in revenues. And so being down to $11 million actually meant that from a balance sheet perspective, we were bankrupt because we owed the employees about $14 million in their accrued sick, comp, and vacation payouts. That meant if everybody left and they were due their payouts, that we would have been bankrupt. But because the employees couldn't leave, well, then we had cash flow. But by June of 2011, then we would have exhausted our reserves, and then we would have been bankrupt. So we did a number of things, some of those things that we talked about. We downsized the organization by about 140 positions. The employees took a 10% furlough. Did we introduce Artie Fields here? Our city manager, Artie Fields, is here. He's a big part of what we've been able to accomplish. And by saving one-time monies that came in, for instance, when we let a new trash contract or collection contract, we made a requirement that they pay a $5 million franchise fee. That money was put in the bank. And so we did a number of things like that, and we always saved the money. And so what's happened over the last 4 years, 4 years, our reserves have increased from $11 million to, as of a week ago, $34 million in your bank. It's important to have reserves because you can do things and prioritize according to your needs. And what we've done with our reserves regularly over the last 2 years, we've added an extra $1.5 million to repave roadways and resurface streets. We start east of Crenshaw, and then we move west of Crenshaw. And so this year we're west of Crenshaw. And I have a graphic that's going to show you how much of a difference that's made to have money to spend on the services that residents prioritize. Could you go to the next slide? We always keep track of sales tax revenues. Cities exist primarily on fees for services like our water service, sales taxes that are collected, and property taxes. And those are the bread and butter. Now, cities that live only on their indigenous sales and property taxes, meaning those taxes generated only by the people that live here, they get by in the best of times, but they struggle every time there's a recession. And that's been true for us. Now, we have experienced a healthy increase in our sales tax revenue as our city has become more popular as a destination. In December of this year, we anticipate breaking ground on a NFL specification stadium, and Gerard McCallum is going to talk more about that. But in that agreement is a clause that the point of sale for all construction materials for that project will be from the city of Inglewood, meaning the sale point will be here, even though we don't have a business in town that makes girders, massive cement, and what have you. The purchase will occur here. And what does that mean? That's very significant, because that's a lot of sales tax income that would be going to other cities. So it's our estimation that, and you can hit the next slide, that what happens, this is what happens with the stadium's construction tax revenues. That's about $15 million, literally off the chart. It doubles our sales tax anticipation, meaning we have more money for services, you know, like roadway repairs, and maybe we want to accelerate our tree trimming program. Whatever we want to do for the residents, we have that opportunity. Also, this gives us the opportunity to continue what we've done over the last year. We hired 10 more police officers over the last year. We intend to try and hire 10 in each succeeding year to get the department back up to where it should be. So these are opportunities we have now because we've done our homework, we've taken care of our infrastructure, we've taken care of our finances, and we have attracted venues like the Forum. We've attracted people like Stan Kroenke, who wanted to partner with Hollywood Park Land Company and build something even grander than what we had previously envisioned. Can you hit the next slide? And I really don't want to go into street improvements. Louis Atwell will take care of that, but just briefly, you know, hit that slide about 4 times. Hit the button slide 4 times. In this is 2009, 2010. We resurfaced about 2 miles of streets. 10, 11, 2 more miles. 11, 12, hit it again. 2 more miles. 12, 13, 3 miles. Then we put the infusion of capital into the program. Now remember, prior to this, we hadn't done any streets for quite some time, maybe 10 years. Now, we go to 13, 14, 10 miles, and 14, 15, 15 miles. And now, hit the space bar one more time, and that's what, back up, that's what the resurfacing program looks like now. That's a massive increase in the appearance of the city. By having better street sweeping, the streets are cleaner. By having better tree trimming, the trees look nicer. And what does that do? That increases the attractiveness of the city. You can go forward. Real quick, Century Boulevard, we go out to bid in May. Go ahead next. That's an image of what it's going to look like. It's going to be landscape, median treatment. Next slide. Van Ness Avenue, about $1.2 million we're going to spend on a resurfacing program for Van Ness Avenue. Keep going. Louis is going to do all this. Oh. And I'm going to stop there because I'm stepping on everybody's stuff. I want to thank Councilman Franklin for inviting me here. I want to thank you in particular for the support that all of you gave. I know most of you did. For the initiative that Hollywood Park Land and the private citizen put forward that allowed us to fast track the stadium development. So give all yourselves a big hand. Thank you very much.
There's a lot of important people that are here, particularly for those. We did a little bit different this time. We actually invited developers, business people, shopping center owners, property management that's here as well, because there's one of the presenters, excuse me, is involving the pipeline safety enhancement plan. Is Fabiola here? Fabiola? Okay, thank you. Because we need to talk about Crenshaw Boulevard and how it's going to impact the businesses and you in District 4, your mode of traffic going up and down. So rather than me doing my normal presentations where I talk about my different issues, I brought the individuals here that will address your issues specifically. And next presenter will talk about capital improvement projects. We always talk about the streets and the sidewalks and the curves and the gutters and the aprons to the driveway, et cetera. But rather than me talk about it, let you talk to the gentleman that I reach out to on a regular basis, and his staff assists you and me to be able to make this thing happen. Please help me recognize our Public Works Director, Louis Atwell.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, you are one heck of a speaker, I'll tell you that. I don't even know if I need to be up here. So the Public Works Department, I'm going to cover a little bit about it first, our core services, and some of the divisions we have. Next slide, please. So as far as divisions and programs within the Public Works Department, we have administration, and that's where I reside. We have engineering, environmental services, fleet services, general services, GIS, which is mapping, public services, which includes water, sewer, street maintenance, transportation engineering, which is the design of some of our streets, utilities, and permitting. Our core services include designing, constructing, and inspecting the city's infrastructure, which is essentially everything within the public right-of-way, and we also review other utilities, which include gas and electrical. So when they come in and they provide designs, we make sure that they're up to our standards, and we also inspect their work. We maintain city buildings, parks, and improvement districts, and we issue permits for stormwater as well as encroachment permits for anything that's done within the public right-of-way. We manage the solid waste hauler, and we now manage street sweeping and tree trimming, and we maintain, repair, and procure the city's vehicles, including police cars and any other vehicles that are used for the operations of the city. This year, as the mayor explained, we have two new services. The first one is tree trimming. Our tree trimmers, as the mayor said earlier, only did about 1,200 trees a year and would take more than 10 to 15 years to do all the trees in the city. Well, coming on board, the mayor asked me, and council as well, Councilman Franklin, what can we do differently? And what we did was we brought on a new tree trimming contractor, and we saved quite a bit of money doing it, and we get all the trees done within 3 years. We have to do that, and we have to continue doing it in order to make our city look good. There's also other benefits involved. We improve pedestrian vehicle safety. We don't want tree limbs coming down and hitting vehicles or pedestrians. And we preserve the city's infrastructure, because when a tree canopy grows, so do its roots. And the tree root system is usually the same diameter as the canopy itself. We cut back the canopy, we keep the roots from destroying public property. Next, please. And as far as street sweeping goes, we brought on board a contract street sweeper, Nationwide Environmental Services, and they provide street sweeping for other municipalities. And they're very, very good. Not that our guys weren't good, we just didn't have the money to invest in our new equipment, maintaining the equipment. Those street sweeping vehicles operate in a very, very, I wouldn't call it a hazardous environment, but it's a bad environment. It includes vacuums, it includes hydraulics, and it includes a lot of moving parts and water, which is very corrosive. So instead of trying to maintain our vehicles and buying these new vehicles, which are $500,000 a piece, we now rely on a contractor that when a piece of equipment breaks, they fabricate it in-house. We don't have that ability. And I think you're going to see the improvements. They've been doing it now for 2 weeks. They're still learning the city, but you're going to see the improvements here very, very soon. Next, please. And this, if you have a pen and paper handy, this is their 24-hour call line. It's 800 number, 222-5637. And if you're not happy with what you see out there, call them directly. And I'll tell you, they worked in the city I was at previously, and they do respond. So please call them if you're dissatisfied with what you see out there. I think you won't be, but you never know. So just real quickly, I wanted to cover, as the mayor pointed out in the one map, all of the streets that we've done. You know, previously we only did 2 miles, 2 miles, 3 miles, and now we're up to 15 miles of street per year. And what we've done differently over the past couple years is we have focused on parts of the city. Before, we used to spread out the work all over the city, which is hard on contractors and very expensive when they bid on projects, because they have to remobilize in different areas of the city. In this case, we focus primarily in 1 or 2 areas, and by doing that, we reduce the prices and also the efficiency of the contractor. And these are the streets that we did last year within District 4, Councilman Franklin's district. Next slide, please. And as you can see, there's quite a few streets. Before, you'd only see a couple on there. And these are some pictures of some of the improvements, the alligatoring of the street. And once you get to that point, the street has to be completely resurfaced. It's very costly. And the key is to not get it there. So what we do is we slurry seal our streets. It's like putting lotion on the street and keeping the sun from damaging it and drying it out. There's a couple more slides. Paving machine. And these are the proposed projects within District 4. So what we have is we have the Streets and Alleys Rehabilitation Project. That's similar to the one we did last year. Last year, we focused primarily on the east side of the city. This year, we're going to be on the west side of the city. However, that means that we can also do some special projects on the east side of the city in Councilman District 4. And this year, we're doing alleys, which the councilman could probably tell me better than I can, is that I don't think we've done alleys in years. In 5 years, we haven't done any alleys. 25 years. This year, we're doing 2. This is 2 alleys, but really it's 3, because the first one, along just south of 108th, is a very, very long alley, and it's in very, very poor condition. So we will continue to do more alleys. As I tell the council district and the mayor, you give me the money and I'll spend it. And that's the truth. So the mayor knows I keep asking for money, but he has given it to me, because, and I don't want to put down what we've done in the past, but the city used to lose money every year because federal money has deadlines. If you don't spend it, you lose it. Well, what we've done is we've reappropriated that money into other projects that couldn't get done, but could get done. And the result have been some of these projects. Next, please. And the proposed projects that we have coming up, we have the sidewalk project. I've been working closely with Councilman Franklin and his assistant Claudette. By the way, Claudette, you're a very good speaker. Very good. One day, Councilman Franklin may not be running for office. She might be a good candidate, by the way. Let me get back on track here. So what we're doing this year is we're doing quite a few sidewalks, curb and gutter. The sidewalks, our goal is to keep them safe primarily. Anything over an inch, we have to replace. Anything less than an inch, we typically grind. I know there's some areas where we have the asphalt that, there's a transition so people can't trip. Be patient. We will switch it out. It's a matter of time and money, primarily money. But we'll be taking care of those as we move on. Century Boulevard project, as the mayor said, this has been a project that's been in the works for so long. I'm surprised it's going to, well, they do call it Century for a reason, right? But hopefully, I can't say hopefully, the design plans are done. The Department of Finance has given us the money. The money's available in July. And we have bidding, advertising and bidding, which will occur in May. And May is only 7 days away. So we'll be bidding for the project then. We should be awarding in July, and construction should begin in August, September. That's the schedule. So hopefully we can stay with the schedule, and we'll have a new project. It'll take a couple years to do, But Century Boulevard, I think we're going to put to bed. Yes. I'm sorry. Right. They gave us the PIN number to our ATM machine. That's essentially what that. But we did have the money, but we didn't have access to it. So in order for us to get access to the money, we had to reconcile some issues with the redevelopment agency. Okay. I try to stay out of that stuff. Next, Van Ness. So Van Ness is another project that's been on the books for a while. However, that's an LA County project. We did invest in that project so they could do the west side of Van Ness for us. In addition, the City of Los Angeles, and I used to work for the City of LA. I have to give them kudos on this. They're going to be doing Van Ness from Manchester to Century, and they're going to be doing our side of the street too. So I'm going to return the favor, and we're going to do 64th up in the north side of the city when it comes time. We'll slurry seal their side because they're going to be doing Van Ness both sides, and it starts, I believe, in a week or two. So you'll get a new side of Van Ness from Manchester to Century, and then Century to Imperial. And then last but not least, this is one of Councilman Franklin's favorites, is Imperial Highway Project. That's going to take a little bit longer, okay, but if we can do Century, I think people will be happy with putting Imperial off for a little bit. But wrong crowd. Good. I'm happy being a government service worker. And then that pretty much concludes my presentation. I have time for a few questions, I think. Oh, my daughter Ella's here, by the way. Ella, can you stand up, please?
Is there any flexibility with maybe adding a street to be paved? I know right above me, right above 102nd, all of those were paved, but mine has the alligatoring and potholes. It's 4th Avenue just below 102nd, so I don't know how to go about that because I'm driving on my street like this so I don't hit all the potholes.
Right. Go ahead.
Are you talking about 4th Avenue between 104th and 108th?
Yes.
Yeah, that's scheduled.
Yeah, I believe, and the councilman says it's scheduled. I don't have them all memorized, but and he does because it's his district.
But yeah, we have that scheduled to be done. All right.
I'm glad I have you.
The lady, bring the mic up front, please. Young lady
Hi.
first.
I want to know if there are any plans for cleaning up the alley between Spinning and Artist, between Hudspeth and Imperial Highway, because that alleyway is awful.
Is it
Nothing-
awful because of the pavement?
Because of the pavement
Okay.
and because of the people, all those apartment buildings along Imperial Highway between
That's a cool-
Van Ness and Crenshaw.
Yeah. When it comes to trash and debris, typically it's the property owner that's adjacent to it, but you can still give us a call and we'll do our best to go out there and clean it up. As far as the pavement goes, what we've done is we've prioritized the worst alleys to the best alleys, and I can definitely look into that alley, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me also pick it up. City Manager, you're making copious notes, I hope. Just to elaborate, one of the things that we haven't had done in years was the street sweeping service going down alleys. Part of this new contract service, they will be covering your alleys, so that should improve immensely. The other new thing, and I didn't hear you announce it, is that we're posting signs. People should know it, but some people don't know it. No parking in the alleys. So the signage has gone up, particularly the new resurfacing of the alleys that we did between 108th and 109th, and also between Spinning and Van Ness. So that way you become aware that we're now going to have parking enforcement enforce it because the signage has now gone up. Any other question? You had a question or comment?
Yeah, Larry Sutton, your former Edison rep. I wanted to know on that Century project, any new technologies, LEDs, whitenings, what can we expect there?
It'll have all new lighting, and as far as the technology to do the roadway, it will be, what is it called, recycled pavement. That's one of the options. I've used it before in the previous city. and it saves time and it saves money. So that's an optional item. Not all contractors can do it, so we still have to leave the regular conventional type of pavement type construction. But as far as lighting goes, it will be new lighting. I don't know if it's LED per se. It could be induction lighting, but I'll check into that as well. Great question, Larry. Good seeing you, by the way.
Okay. Any other question or comment? One final question or comment, and then we'll move to our next presenter. Yes.
Mari Morales Rodriguez. I work for Republic Services, and for the bulky items or trash, you can always call me, and I can send the truck. And the number is 310-436-7341.
And the trash does not have to be in front of your house. If you see a neighbor's, you go down an alley, you see on the street, just call Mari Morales.
Yes,
Thank you.
anything, refrigerators,
Repeat
mattresses.
that number.
310-436-7341. Call me anytime, I will send a truck. It's free for the residents of Inglewood.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's give our presenter a hand. Thank you, Louis Atwell. And just for a point of clarity, I want to introduce some individuals. And before she leaves, Alicia Smith, who's a council assistant to Councilman George Dotson and a District 4 resident. Please stand up, Mr. Artie Fields, our city manager, and be recognized. City manager. We also have Wanda Brown, our treasurer. The lady with all our money. I also understand we have a school board member from the Inglewood Unified School District Advisory Board, Grace Patino. She's out the door, okay. I also want to have those that are commissioners. There's so many of you here. If you are a commissioner of the City of Inglewood and a board member that's been appointed by this council, would you please rise and be recognized? All the commissioners, board members, please stand and be recognized. Let's give you a hand. All right, thank you. Now, I also want to recognize block club captains. If you are a block club captain representing your blocks, your community, please stand and also be recognized. Block club captains. There we go. Thank you. And then I would be remiss if I didn't recognize my police liaison, Mr. Aaron Elsie. Thank you very much for our beat center. Thank you very much. Okay, there's Gracia Platino. All right, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Now, we need to move on because of public safety issues. We've had a number of concerns raised by the community involving recent daytime burglaries, car club issues, a number of items that have become concerns. So if you understand, I put these items on the agenda based upon your concerns you've given me from the previous town hall meeting. So rather than you hearing it from me and it's hearsay, I want you to hear from the ones that actually do the work. You've heard from the Public Works Director, which was Louis Atwell. Now let's hear from the Chief of Police. Please help me recognize Mark Fontarada.
Good morning, everyone. I want to acknowledge some of my staff members that are here. I have Lieutenant Mark Freed. I know he's a big fan here in District 4. I got Sergeant Reggie Blaylock in the back there. He's just been transferred into, as I reform and reestablish our Community Affairs section, Sergeant Blaylock is in charge of that now. Also, I have Officer Lasardi, one of our fine officers, here with us today. I want to talk about crime, obviously, and I know there's some concerns with some burglaries that have happened in the district and some other type of incidents, but I always preface crime stats with saying that you know, they're only as good as the numbers that are up there, and one crime is one too many. And certainly any victims out there of any crime, certainly violent crime, our hearts and prayers are with them. So I take that with crime stats with a grain of salt. But I am pleased to say that overall crime over the last 5 years overall is down in the city of Inglewood, and it has trended down. And that's a remarkable number, especially what's going on around us. I'd like to commend the citizens in the community for that, for their help and participation in that, because you're our eyes and ears out there and the lifeblood of this community. And the councilman talked about a couple block club captains that are here. There's over 240 block clubs in this community, and I've always been well connected with those folks, And that certainly is, again, the heart and soul of this community, and our eyes and ears to work in a partnership for public safety. And then also the actions of the men and women of the Inglewood Police Department. They've done some outstanding work. But again, one crime is one too many. As it relates to burglary crimes, again, statistically in the district, your district, our district, there's been a 1% increase. But again, I say that with reservation because certainly if you're a victim of that burglary, a residential burglary or an auto burglary, it's very personal and it's a violation of your personal sanctity, and we understand that as your police department. We have made a significant number of arrests of those individuals that have occurred in this district and throughout the city for that matter. We've incorporated new tactics in the deployment of our resources. One is specific to what's called DDAC operations, and it relates to data-driven approaches to crime and traffic safety. We also use it in the traffic safety model. This is a crime mapping software that is available to folks. If you just go on the internet and type it in, and you can research certain crimes in your areas. But what's more important is, again, using your eyes and ears. And I've put out, Claudette has a number of handouts that are on the table outside this meeting here. And it talks about residential burglaries and things that you can do, things that you need to be aware of, strangers in your neighborhood, people knocking on the doors, things like that. Certainly if you can afford a burglary alarm, I would recommend getting one. Do not leave valuables on your car seats or anything like that, because someone's just going to look in and break your window and take it. That I gotta preach to the choir, because that actually happened to me about a month ago, where I lost an item in my personal car. But it's very important to have what I always call situational awareness, what's about you in your neighborhood, in your homes, when you go about your business, and that doesn't matter where you are. Whether you're here in Inglewood, whether you're in Beverly Hills, or you're in Haverhill, Massachusetts, where I was born and raised. This is the world we live in, but it's also about being in tune and having that situational awareness about what's going on around you. Again, the eyes and ears of the community in the district, by calling us when you see that suspicious person in the neighborhood or someone you don't recognize, call us. We will gladly respond and make contact with that individual to try to determine if they're in fact legitimate, or are they casing to commit a crime. But I can tell you, we have, again, made some significant arrests in this area. We have put significant resources. We have put significant resources in District 4 and running, what I call these DDAC operations, where we free up units to sustain them in the neighborhood. And as the mayor had mentioned in the council, through their efforts, we are now hiring more police officers, and that's giving us a greater presence in the neighborhood. And I hope you have seen those officers out there, and they should wave to you when they go by. That's all, and I hope that they do, because that's important. As most of you know me, this is my home. I've been here for 33 years. I'm not going anywhere. And I've always, part of my administration has always been that we need to be a people-friendly organization. We are in partnership with the community, and that's very, very important to my administration, and it's a core value of my agency. Now, again, there's a lot of handouts here. We always talk about recruitment in the end. I always end on recruitment, because we're hiring, and we're hiring at all levels, whether it's police officers or records clerks or custody officers or what have you, but we'll talk about that in a second. There's a lot of numbers on the material that's on the table that outside the room here, and again, if you have any questions on that, look at some of this material. Utilize the phone numbers that are on there. Call us. We're here for you. We will get there as quickly as we can. And if you want to remain anonymous in your phone call, that's fine. Certainly if you want contact, we'll make contact with you. But that's up to you. We're here for you. And it's even going to get better, because I'm sure a lot of folks, or some folks were here at the State of the City address the other day. Any show of hands, there were folks that were there? Yeah. Well, all I can say is it's a new Inglewood, and it has a very bright future, and certainly the council in their wisdom is leading the way, and we certainly appreciate that, especially the men and women of this department. I know the community does as well. With that, I'll take a few questions if anybody has any questions.
Thank you very much. I'm Fernando Mesa, and my question for you is, why you plan to do an Imperial for all the prostitution is right there again? I mean, it's not one, it's a lot of women right there.
Well, first of all, certainly when you see that activity, give us a call, and we will respond to that. But we also have put out some task forces to address that issue. We have made some arrests. As unfortunate that is, that's a difficult problem, and it really transcends into a lot of area. That's not so much your concern, but the way we look at it from the law enforcement standpoint. But in terms of addressing it, we have put out some task forces, and we will increase those task forces. And if you could give us even more specifics, like the times that they're out there, or is it 24/7 days of the week, things like that, and then we can, that's where we'll concentrate those resources to address that issue. We also attack prostitution, as some of you may know. It's an evil crime, and some people take advantage of that by having those young girls out there, and we also target the shot callers, so to speak.
Well, to me, the big problem is the motel is right there in the corner, Imperial and Lemoli, because a lot of women live in there too. So I think we need to start doing something with the hotel to clean it out or close it out or do something.
Yep.
Palms in.
Yes, Palms Inn.
We will certainly write that down. We'll look into that. We have ordinances that are related to activities in hotels and prostitution, so we can certainly look into that. That's the type of information we need, because then we can drill down and address those issues more effectively.
Hi, my name is Janice Wilson, and I just wanted to know, how do we address the issue of these people coming and spending these donuts in the middle of the street, 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, waking everybody up, scaring everybody half to death? And I think we should have cameras. If we had cameras to show these people spending out like that, then we can stop them.
Well, yes, I agree with that. Again, you know, providing us that information so that I can direct those resources, times, specific information like that, the times, you're saying 2, 3 in the morning, that's very unique time. We can concentrate in that area, catch these folks, and that's part of what we call our DDAC approaches to crime fighting. I didn't have it, and so, again, just provide us with that information, ma'am, and there's a lot of numbers here. I can certainly get it. Sergeant Blaylock, we can get the times and everything, and we'll address that immediately, as well as the information we have from this gentleman here as it relates to prostitution. But outside of this meeting, do call us with the information. You can remain anonymous if you like, but those specific times, locations, what's going on, and then we will certainly address those issues.
But that's the whole issue. I mean, because they come 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, no one is up at that hour to take down a license plate. Plus, they're moving so fast, you can't really stop them. So if there was some cameras there that would catch them, then they can stop. I mean, I've been seeing those tracks there for years. When I first moved into the city of Inglewood, right there adjacent from my house at 4th Avenue, there was circles. And at first I couldn't figure out, well, what is that? But then I heard it, and then I kept hearing it. Here I am in 2015, I'm still hearing it.
Well, certainly cameras are good, but I can tell you, with the information you just provided, we will definitely concentrate on that. And I don't want to say guarantee, but I'm pretty certain we'll put an end to that within 2 weeks or less.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Young lady at the same table, right there.
That's also happening. We're also getting that at Lamoli and 117th. There are always donuts in the street. I'm not awake to hear them, but they are there in the morning.
Very well. We will address that.
Not really a question, but a comment. I'd like to thank Inglewood Police Department for doing a fantastic job in the Century Corridor. I noticed that they've stepped it up quite a bit, and it's really appreciated, especially since a new shoe warehouse is there, and we're going to be getting a lot of businesses coming through as we grow in Inglewood. And I am a supporter of the Inglewood Police Department wholeheartedly, and I think you guys are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Jackie Terry, and I just wondered, have you considered painting the stop signs red at the bottom because it enhances night vision?
That's probably work.
Yeah, I haven't, but I certainly will pass that on to the Public Works Director who spoke
City Manager is
previously.
making notes.
Thank you. Excuse me, I'm a little bit nervous. But I have a concern. I'm an Inglewood resident, and in January, a young man got killed in a vehicle right in front of my apartment. And then in February, a 13-year-old young boy got killed like 5 cars down from my apartment. March, this month, I've heard a lot of shootings. Somebody around in the neighborhood is just shooting off a gun. I rarely see the police come through there, through the neighborhood, and basically, my fear, well, I'm going to rebuke a fear, but I want more patrol to come maybe to stop a lot of that, but I'm like, I wanted to complain or have someone out, but I wouldn't want then it become harassment on residents in the neighborhood, because just like I was driving my car and I got pulled over in the middle of the street and was told I got pulled over because affinities are often stolen car vehicles. So I had to sit there while they ran everything because they assumed my vehicle was stolen, and I was on my only parking, getting ready to park my car. So that gave me the fear of, okay, if they come out, is there going to be people that's get harassed? Or I wouldn't want nobody, if someone has a weapon, I wouldn't want nobody to get shot and killed. So it's like I don't know how to proceed from, that, so.
Well, let me just address a couple of things. First of all, you don't have to fear the police department. We don't harass people, but there is a couple flyers there that talk about if you are stopped and things that you should do. But more importantly, again, you can provide us with that information, even anonymously, and we will respond to those areas. And then once we start to drill down on the information, I can look at it, and then we can deploy our resources appropriately. And as far as your other neighbors and things that have gone on there in the past, we have outreach mechanisms that we can use. Your block club, neighborhood watch, block club mechanism is another point where I can come and speak to even a smaller group and talk to folks. So, and we do that, I do that all the time. But, as far as, again, we are in partnership here. If you're ever stopped and you don't feel you received the services as you should, or you're not understanding what's going on, ask the officer or ask for a supervisor. They are expected and shall respond to that situation. There's a couple technological things I didn't touch upon because they're in their infancy right now. But again, the mayor and council, we have what's called a CAD, which is a computer automated dispatch system, and our RMS system, which is a report management system. These are technological pieces of infrastructure that were as old as about the Century Corridor project and Imperial Highway project, 25 plus years old. We are now replacing them with state-of-the-art systems that will. They just began this project. It takes about 6 months to complete that part of half the project. It's about 18 months to complete it as a whole. What that means is, though, a lot of this information, as we get it from everyone, it's processed and it's at the patrol level inside the units, and then they can respond to these things, do a lot more proactive type of enforcement efforts. You're going to see a significant improvement in that area in terms of our responses to situations as you just described. As long as we have the information, though, if we don't have the information, there's not much we can do. So people have to call us and let us know what's going on. We're here for you. We will work with you. I always say this too, though, when we enforce traffic enforcement in areas, and I know the councilman may laugh at this because it happened in his district over the years. I oversaw several operations with CHP, and we brought in 20, 30 units at a time. Well, yeah, we're going to catch a lot of people that are rolling through that stop sign and whatnot, but we're also going to stop a lot of citizens, so citizens in the community who may have committed a violation of it. So it goes hand in hand. All I can say is the stops should always, from my standpoint, are always for the right reasons. And again, there's mechanisms to counterbalance that if that's not the case. Just one other final note, too, when you talk, I know we've heard about cameras a little bit. That's another ambitious project that I've embarked on. A lot of that money's coming from to the tune of $3, $4, $5 million through grant funding, so it's no cost to the city. But I have an elaborate camera system that's going throughout the city, all in our major intersections. And this project's going to take about 18 months to complete, but once it's completed, all of our major intersections, I'm trying to situate these cameras at also our perimeter areas as it leads into our city. I truly believe that this will have a big impact on the reduction of crime. Also, I'm looking for some mobile camera units that may deal with some of these issues you're talking about, with donuts and things like that, or whatever else is happening. In other words, a couple of these cameras that can be actually moved around. That's part of the project that I'm working on right now. These will have direct impact on crime-fighting issues that we all face, and I expect to see good results as a result of that.
Okay, one more, we have time for one more question. The lady in the blue. Wait a minute, I can't see. All right, go ahead.
Mine is a compliment. I witnessed a burglary, and I thought the people were just moving. So the next day when I found out about the burglary, I let the police know. I gave them the description. I gave what they hauled the valuables away in and everything. There's been 4 burglaries in my block, and the police have been diligently. I like to compliment them. I have talked with them and told them what I saw. I saw a guy running down the street, and I asked him, I said, "You live in this neighborhood?" And I'm not afraid to report what I see, and that's what we got to do. Any little thing that you suspect might not be nothing, because I thought those people were moving, but they was burglarizing the guy's house. And I witnessed it, but I did let the police know what I saw and gave them a description, and that's what we got to do.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to expand on one thing as well. Again, these issues, in our case here, we have a slight uptick of 1%. I mean, again, 1 is 1 too many. However, statewide, countywide, and certainly nationally, a lot of these numbers are much higher. And certainly in the state of California, we've had 2 issues that have, in my opinion, have attributed to that. And that's recently the passage of Proposition 47 and realignment. These are 2 issues that the Cal Chiefs that I'm associated with and a member of, we opposed. However, they were put into effect, and this took a lot of crimes under Prop 47 and reduced them to misdemeanors, which really makes it very difficult for us to deal with some of these issues. Crimes that for my entire career were felonies, and would incarcerate these people for longer periods of time. Realignment is a whole other issue. I know there's been a lot of articles in the newspapers about that. At the end of the day, I, you, us, we are left to deal with it. And consequently, some of these property crime issues correlate to those legislative decisions that were made out of Sacramento. And I know a lot of the local politicians oppose them as well. But at the end of the day, these things pass, and we have to move on and deal with it. Again, being the eyes and ears, much as you just spoke, that's what we need. We appreciate that. We're here for you. We're in partnership with you.
All right, we'll take the 2 ladies up front, then we must move on. These 2, the 2 ladies in the blue, Dorothy Cole and Dr. Irvin.
Okay, my name is Dorothy Cole. I've been on Van Ness too long, 50 years. And I have been complaining about, for quite a few years, everything changed, and I do not expect it to look and act like it used to. But on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on Van Ness, from 108 to Imperial, is drag racing, especially on Friday evenings. Not only that, on Saturdays, they're coming down Van Ness now on both sides of the street with their bikes the bike wheel is all up in the air, and they just flying on down the street. I have called, I have did everything I could do as a citizen, because I'm very nosy. I'm peeping out the windows all the time. And it's no Inglewood policemen. When I see a police car going by, it's either the sheriff, and it's not Inglewood Police. And they do not come around, and I am going to confess, I do not see them.
Well, you know, Ms. Cole, I know you very well. I've known you for a long time. I understand what you're saying, and we have committed resources to that area, and I would say to you, I hear you. We will increase it, but they have been there. Maybe you just haven't seen them. Maybe we need to increase it more. So I will do that.
Okay. Last comment.
My name is Lloydstein Irvin, and I'm part of the 2nd Avenue Block Club. And recently, we've had an influx of telemarketers calling regarding alarm devices and protection. And I want to know, is this a part of the endorsement of the IPD?
No. No.
Okay. I'll stop being nice.
But that's a great point, though. My strong recommendation to everyone is, when you want something, you call. You look on the internet, or we still have yellow pages and things like that, and make the phone call. People who are cold calling you should always be a red flag. People you don't know in your neighborhood who are knocking on doors, that's a double red flag. So don't entertain those calls, just hang up. I'll be quite honest with you, when I see numbers come in on my phone and I don't recognize it, it's not the councilman, I generally don't answer it, because even my phone I get telemarketers. It's unbelievable. So if someone really wants me, and I recognize the number, I certainly pick it up, but if I don't, they leave me a message and I certainly get back with them. But you have to be very cautious of that. They're out there, looking for an opportunity. And again, I do recommend alarm systems, but you make the phone call. Use a reputable company. There's a lot of them out there. I can't personally, or we can't, the police department, talk about any specific company. We're prohibited from doing that. But all I would say to you, there's a lot of reputable companies out there, and you call them.
And I personally want to thank Lieutenant Mark Freed. Let's give Lieutenant Mark Freed a hand, if you would, please. You had concerns regarding burglaries and other issues. It's that lieutenant that came to your block clubs and gave us a mountain of information on public safety and what you can do as a resident. And we actually, at our beat center at the Inglewood Community Center that we had, Lieutenant Freed was there. Multiple block club captains were there. Multiple residents were there. Multiple streets were being represented, and we addressed the burglary issues. He's also came with me on 2nd Avenue. We also was there on 117th Street. That we go, and one thing about it, he checks with me just to make sure that I'm aware that a block club has requested the assistance. So I just want to thank you personally, Chief, thank you personally for reaching out to the community, and also we'll reach out to Officer Baylock. Thank you very much as our new community liaison that I can reach out to for assistance. And let's give, again, the police department another hand. Thank you. Please join me up here as the Community Education Outreach Manager.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Fabiola Ochoa, and I'm here with SoCal Gas Company. My colleague here, Mike Googler, is the project manager for the project we're going to discuss in a little bit. As you all know, is this better? Okay, all right, I try to remember that. We've been working on a project along Crenshaw Boulevard for several months now, because they're probably familiar, we've been driving down the street. We were doing a pipeline replacement project as a result of our PSEP, which is our Pipeline Safety Enhancement Program. I'm happy to say that the pipeline replacement portion of that project has been completed. As a result, though, the next step for that now is to test the pipe to put it into service. And that's going to actually take some time as well. We're scheduling it for next month, May most likely. And the Baker tanks are going to be located right on Crenshaw Boulevard between 104th Street and 106th Street. Is that correct? And so what you're looking at right now is a map of what we call the Gardena bundle, which is where the project starts, and this is for the pipeline replacement project that I just mentioned. It starts in South LA, so 79th Street on down all the way through to the city of Carson. And so that's what you're seeing now, and we've been doing it in various sections, and we have completed it as of last week, I believe, out in Alondra County, Alondra Park. So now, like I said, the pipeline replacement portion of the project is now complete, and now we're moving on to what we call a hydro test. And you'll be receiving notifications in the mail that kind of give you a little bit more information as to what that is, and a phone number to call if you have any questions. But the hydro test piece of it is, now that we are ready, we've laid the pipe down in the ground, we now have to go in, and using water, we test the pipe to make sure that there are no leaks, and once that test is complete and we find out that there are no leaks, we dry the water, we drain it, we drain the water and dry the pipe, and then we put it into service. So, but why we're here today is because we have to bring in the water in these, and you can go on to the next slide to show, in these large Baker tanks. And these Baker tanks, because of where the pipe is located, will have to be placed along Crenshaw Boulevard. Like I said, between 104th and 106th. And this is a diagram of what that's kind of going to look like. And I'm going to hand it over to Mike now so he can go over the specifics and details of what that is going to look like.
Thank you, Fabiola. Again, my name is Mike Googler, and we started this project about 3 years ago. So unfortunately, you guys have only seen us this past year as we've been just making a traffic nightmare for you, and that's not our goal. So as Fabiola mentioned, the last step in this project is the tie-in, and that's when we actually put the line into service, and that takes a little bit of coordination and effort on everybody from our side to the cities and other utilities in the area. So specifically speaking, 3707, I should say that the line that is in Inglewood and South LA that you guys have seen out there and seen the construction on, we will not be in construction for that full length of Crenshaw Boulevard. We are only at one location, which is projected on the screen. And again, the streets are between 104th and 106th. And the reason is, if you look at that diagram, where a lot of the marks, just right here, this is Southern California Gas Company's reg station, and we have multiple reg stations around the cities, and that's where we have high pressure gas coming in, medium pressure gas coming in. We have multiple lines come in, and it gets regulated down and put into other lines, and that's basically like a distribution, a little yard that's owned by us. And so that's where we make our tie-in. And so these tanks, we're going to keep 2 lanes northbound and 2 lanes southbound open, so it's still going to be much better than it was before, where we had almost only 1 lane open, if you guys remember. And that was, unfortunately, we had to do that just for safety, and where our current line, where we were making that trench, and there's just not very much room there when you're putting a 20-inch pipeline under the ground. And there's, as you can imagine, with Inglewood being such an old city, there's just underneath there, it's just a city of its own with utilities that have been laid over the past 100 years. So the nice part is we're just in the section you see, which is just less than a block, and we're going to have traffic control start coning off and having K-rail to protect the workers and protect the traffic as they go through this section. These tanks, all they are is just water tanks. So because it takes so much water to fill this line up, it's all reused, recycled water. It's not coming from the city. And we bring it in and we store it in these tanks. And when we're ready and the pipes are, all the connecting pipes are hooked up to the new line, we fill the line with water. We raise the pressure to 1.5 times what the max allowable operating pressure of the line is. We test it. It's only a 12-hour test. And then once the test is complete, we drain the water and then that's when we tie the line in and actually put gas into it, and then we get out of there. So overall, we should be here about 1 month. And so those tanks will be sitting in that street for roughly 1 month. And that's an estimate. It could be shorter, it could be longer, but not much more than a week or two on both ends. Our goal right now is to start mobilizing the tanks out there probably mid-May, and that might slip a little bit based on just coordinating with the cities, because we have to do this in conjunction with South LA, as the line goes into South LA, and we have a portion of the test we have to tie into there, so we have to do the whole line all at once. So it's just a little bit of a coordination effort between all the cities. But once we test it, we'll move the tanks out of there. We'll repair any damage that we have done. Obviously, as you've seen out there, I hope you guys are happy with the new slurry we've put out there. This seems to be really smooth, and you can obviously see where we've laid the new pipe. But we'll get out of there, and hopefully you won't see us for another 100 years, because that's the whole reason. The pipe that was replaced was put in there prior to 1946. So the nice thing is these pipes that we're putting in, the technology is obviously leaps and bounds better than the stuff we put back in the 40s. So we probably, at least in our lifetime in this room, we'll never see it, but our children probably won't even see us back in there replacing this line or working on it. So that's the nice thing, is a little bit of pain. We'll never see the gas company again, but you'll probably see Comcast Cable and those guys out there. So, but I think I'll leave it at that for now, and probably open up for questions, because I'm sure there's specific questions for everybody.
So let me address a couple of things. I'm concerned regarding the turn signals of being able to make a left-hand turn. For those that live on the east side of Crenshaw, and you're going southbound on Crenshaw Boulevard, that when you now approach 104th Street and you want to make your left-hand turn, I want to know about that lane to see if it's available. This will have a direct impact with the shopping center that houses the Smart and Final WSS shoe store. Also, it's going to impact Food for Less, 99-cent store, etc. But the flow of traffic, I understand, is going to be one lane on each side that's going to be impacted. So if you can expand a little bit more on that, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. So unlike what we were doing before, we were going to keep the left turns open, and the only left turn that we're shutting down at this point is the one on the screen, which is, I think that's 106th. I just... This one.
101st. This is 104th.
Okay, 104th will be shut down. As you can see, that's where the tanks will be. But where the Smart and Final is, we'll have that fully open. We'll have flaggers out there, so it won't just be coned off. We're going to have active, we call active traffic control, out there helping direct traffic, making sure all the shops are open. This is a lot more minimal impact than it was when we were actually putting the pipe in the ground. So the only lanes we're planning on shutting down again are right there on 104th. Yeah, and again, traffic control is 24 hours, because the idea is we're going to get in and get out, and hopefully we beat our schedule. That's always our goal. So I say a month, but I'm hoping we can get in and out in 2 weeks. So we understand it's a pain in the rear, and we're trying to get everybody out of here as soon as possible.
Okay, questions or comments? Anyone? So we all understand there's going to be a little hiccup, and it's going to be mid-May. Is that a question or comment in the back? All right, we'll give you the mic.
Hi, I'm Rita Burnett, 4th Avenue Block Club, between 104th and 108th. My question is, you're shutting down the turn signal on 104th? Is that correct?
Turn signal.
So when is that going to take place, and how long?
Okay, so the turn signal there, it will probably be shut down the entire month. Is that your question? Yeah, the entire time we're out there.
Is it going to be manned so people can still make their left-hand turn? Or we can't make a left-hand turn at all going eastbound on 104th?
Going eastbound on 104th. So going south, so heading south and then taking a left and heading east on 104th. As of right now, we're keeping that open, I believe. Yeah, that's the current plan on traffic control, is to have that manned and keep that open. There might be intermittent times where we have to shut it completely down while we're moving equipment and whatnot, but majority of the time it will be open.
Starting when? You're going to shut it down? Starting when?
Our goal to start mobilizing is May 18th. So you should see, and that's a floating date. Give it a day, a couple days here and there. But as soon as you'll see those tanks come in, that's when you'll see the traffic control out there.
Did you give it the size of these tanks so they know how big they are?
No. Sure. Each tank is just a big steel tank. It's about 40 foot by 15 foot. So it looks almost like a big semi-trailer, tractor trailer on coming down the road. And there's multiple of those. So we have about, I think, 12 of those or so. On each side of the median. So.
Hi, how are you? I'm Lavinia Austin. I'm a 30-year-plus resident of Inglewood. And I have two questions. Number one, the gas that's in the pipe, in the form that it's there, is it liquid natural gas or is it gas? Is it gas? And are there any earthquake safety components to this new pipe?
It's just normal gas. It's not liquefied or compressed. So it's just normal gas, like it's going to come right out of your stove. It's going to be odorized and ready to use. So this is a supply line. So it's at the there's nothing. It's not a transmission line. It's not real high pressure. So as far as earthquake, that isn't taken into account in the grade and wall thickness of the pipe we put in there. So we upsized the line. It used to be a 16-inch line in there, and we upsized the line to a 24-inch thicker wall. So it's very, very strong in the scheme of about 10 times stronger than it used to be. So as far as earthquake, absolutely. The tensile strength, the modules of elasticity, all that is, if the ground moves, this pipe can bend, and it won't crack. It won't burst. Exactly.
I was concerned about the traffic that's coming in from LA, and 104th Street is a thoroughfare to the LAX, and so I'm kind of concerned about that because I always travel the streets that are out of the way, and so that's going to be, I guess I have to find another route, but I am concerned about the traffic coming because we've had other projects going on, and we just have a heavy influx of traffic on 104th Street now.
I do want to let everyone know that we will be sending out letters, notification letters to the local community, letting you know once we do have a date. You'll get that ahead of time, so everyone's aware of it. We'll also be placing up electronic signs, letting people know to expect delays and detours, and those usually go up a couple of weeks before the work starts. And we're placing an ad in Inglewood today as well to alert their readers that we're coming again and to expect delays and traffic impacts. And we're working very closely with Councilman's office to make sure that we're doing our outreach out to the community. So we'll also be hosting meetings. We'll be walking the neighborhood. We'll be door knocking. So we do want to get the word out. And today is kind of launching that outreach, those outreach efforts for us in the community. So we're trying to let as much people know, as much time ahead of time so that everyone can prepare.
Mike, the mic. Thank you, Doctor.
I'm cooperating.
There you go.
At 104th and Western, that's where the traffic really begins.
Western?
Yes, I know, but what I'm trying to say, it affects us because all of that traffic comes into 104th at Van Ness, which starts Inglewood. Yeah. And so I guess what I'm saying is that we need to have some kind of sign or something at 104th and Western because that traffic impacts the Century Heights area.
Okay, let's be clear. Western is over a mile from the area in question. We're talking about Crenshaw at 104th.
I know.
So we are bound to stay within the scope of the city of Inglewood, and we're notifying the immediate residents and businesses that they're going to be impacted with this.
Yeah.
Over time, if we're talking about a month on which this is going to be under construction, that's going to create a domino effect with the traffic flow, and so we're giving you advance notice of rerouting your passageway to get safely at home.
I know we're talking about Inglewood, but I'm just saying that traffic impacts Inglewood.
Okay. All right, thank you. And then let's give Fabiola and Micah Hand, unless you have any other comments. Thank you. Thank you so much. The point of me asking them to be here is that I've asked for a number of shopping center owners as well as retail tenants to be here so they can prepare for this impact. You've already heard the announcement on around May 18th is that they're going to be, again, bringing in these large, and I want to say large cargo units with the water that's going to actually create a challenge for the flow of traffic. We've been dealing with this traffic for some time, particularly on Century Boulevard in front of the Hollywood Park racetrack. If you go down right now on Century Boulevard, leaving Crenshaw, going westbound to Prairie, you'll already see the first phase of the street being moved by at least one car link that is now going to become a new right-hand turn lane entering the future development of that shopping center. As well as on Prairie, you're going to see the same movement where they're going to create a new right-hand turn lane on Prairie, so there'll be additional lane added. So we have had a number of hiccups with the gridlock in traffic. We continue to have that gridlock traffic. If you know anyone goes near Costco, you know, between 102nd and Yukon, that traffic is very heavily. They actually store some of the vehicles that they remove the tractors off the trailers in order to access Central Boulevard. So all I'm trying to do at this point is development is happening. You need to be made aware that it's happening in advance. Not this last minute, oh, no, he didn't tell me that. And so that's why I encourage you to also get involved of providing us with your email addresses so that way we can alert you of things coming that is about to happen or specific events involving this District 4 so you can be made aware of it. So I want to move to my last presenter because I mentioned to you about the Hollywood Park development. I recently flew in from Sacramento, and when I was approaching the runway area, I looked out my window and I saw this big dust bowl, and it took me a moment to gasp. I didn't realize that all of the water features are gone, the track, the turf is gone, the stables, they're gone, and now the railing that the track is around, they're gone. The only thing that is remaining is the grandstand that is available, and even then, we need to talk about it. There's going to be an implosion that's going to occur where the grandstand's going to come down. So, but there's new things to come, and so that's why I want you to be informed, get advance notice. So I brought the VP to give us the heads up. So please help me recognize the Gerard McCollum II, our project manager regarding Hollywood Park development, and he could talk a lot about his project.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Is it still morning? Anyway, you know, we're going to give you a little bit of an overview of actually the project to come, pretty much the stadium. But as Councilman Franklin was saying, a lot of construction is going on site, as you probably have noticed when you park today. Number of things are going on. We have a lot of infrastructure going on. We've just completed a lot of the new sewer lines. We've upgraded the sewer lines from the old ones that were kind of there for years. That actually will serve the northern part of the city, more so than just our own development itself. We've upgraded both the gas lines and a lot of the utilities along Century Boulevard, and that's a lot of this construction you're seeing currently going on right now on Century Boulevard. Also, the construction that's just completed down Osage Avenue, that was also part of us. We were not down there by Crenshaw. I used to get the calls about the traffic on Crenshaw. That was the gas company, not us, thank goodness. The only thing that will be remaining, probably as of June, will be this building and the pavilion that's associated with this building. We're in the casino. We're actually in the adjoining pavilion right now. And that'll be the only thing that will remain for the next 18 months. Other than that, the site will be completely under construction. Most of it will all be internal. We'll be grading, as you know, the stadium. I'll go over some of that in this presentation coming up. We'll go under about 8 to 9 months of just grading property. So nothing really, you know, romantic about it. It's just moving dirt around for the most part. But the thing that you're going to see in terms of vertical construction coming up is actually the brand new casino that will be facing Century Boulevard. And when you step out of here, before you go down the steps out to the actual parking lot, if you just look south of us here, you'll start to see the construction of the new casino pad that's about to be completed. And in June, we'll be starting the actual vertical construction on that portions of it. And so for people that are contractors and subcontractors and that have signed up on our website, HollywoodParkLife.com, and have been a part of that process of the bidding process, they're all now on board and will be part of that construction that will be taking place. We have a robust local hire goal and small business and local business goal. Right now, overall on the site, we're at about 43%, so I'm really proud of that, and we're going to continue to keep those numbers going. So a lot of local people are working on site or have contracts on site on a number of different fashions. That casino construction starts in June, and we are going to accelerate that for the next 18 months to have that up. It's going to be one of the critical path things that we get that building up, and then we close this building down and take this building down shortly thereafter. And it'll be hopefully a seamless transition between the day we open that up and the night that we close this building. Literally, everybody will just walk across the parking lot to the brand new building. And that construction and that building is absolutely, next time I come, I'll bring some images of what that building, but it's a mid-century modern, very beautiful building that's going to replace the casino here, full with restaurant and sports and entertainment bar associated with it as well. Let's go to the production here in terms of the new Inglewood Sports and Entertainment District. Again, I want to thank everyone for getting those signatures and everything through so we actually can embark on the next stage of our project, which, as you know, when we started construction on a very nice project called Inglewood Tomorrow. Then mid last year, the mayor kept calling us about meeting with a gentleman by the name of Stan Kroenke, who wanted to buy the 60 acres that was just adjoining to us. And so at the mayor's assistance, we took that meeting and found out it was actually a real meeting. We always got calls from everybody wanting to do with great ideas, but they never came with any money. So at the end of the day, if you don't have the cash to actually kind of transact at this level, it's pretty difficult. But he came through. We entered into a joint venture with them, and so now we've combined the properties, and so now it's a 290-acre site that includes essentially what you saw before, but it has added a sports and entertainment district. And the first thing out the gate that we are eagerly working towards is to try to get all the designs and structural designs and everything completed, and so that we can go into permitting, so that we can then after we pull the permits go into construction. And so we're hoping to do that December, sometime the first quarter of next year. So our partner on this side is HKS Sports and Entertainment. These are the architects that will be working on developing the stadium. A lot of the images you've seen in the papers have been done by HKS. We work with a number of architects to put together the project. HKS is the stadium and performance venue. A company called BCV is the architects that will be doing the retail center. Neil Lair and Associates will be doing the overall landscaping throughout the project. And Hart Howerton actually will be determining or developing designing the overall complex itself. So your streets and infrastructures and how the parks lay out will be done by them. But that HKS, if we go back for a real quick slide here, these are some of the stadiums they're working on. Viking Stadium, they're about to open up, and if you Google Viking Stadium, you'll see a very impressive stadium. But this is one of the preferred architects for the NFL, and so that was one of the reasons why they were selected as well. AT&T Stadium is right now the state-of-the-art sports and entertainment venue in the United States. Vikings will be the next one coming up, and the one we are building will be the state-of-the-art sports and entertainment district actually in the world. I'm hoping to start construction in December. So next slide. Next slide. Next slide. A lot of this, what the architecture here is what we're not actually, like a lot of those other stadiums where you just see this big building in the horizon, just sort of like overmassing everything else in the area. We have actually done a lot of studies in terms of the aesthetic here in Southern California so that it fits into the existing landscape. And a lot of structures here, a lot of images here, when you go to the Getty, they're actually embedded into the landscape. They don't sit as a big stadium like AT&T, for example, in Dallas. You can see that thing all the way across the stadium, and that's purposeful. It sits outside the city realm, and it sits way above. What we've done is that we're actually looking at a lot of the existing structures here within the Southern California area, here in Inglewood, and actually trying to make that a part of the community as opposed to something that stands way out of it. Next slide. Again, this will be as Hollywood Park was in its heyday, this will be the global stage for the Los Angeles County area, and so we're very mindful of that in our design. That'll be much more than just an NFL stadium, much more than a performance art venue, but something that a lot of events occur at that really sort of smacks of what we are in terms of the entertainment industry. Again, the weather here is absolutely perfect in Inglewood, and we're going to take advantage of using that kind of indoor-outdoor aesthetic in the project so that you're just not all inside malls, inside buildings, but that you take advantage of actually this outdoor, wonderful climate here. The stadium, this is actually the questions I get quite a bit. Is it just for one team? No, it's a two-team NFL stadium that can house two teams, and so everything will be identical. The locker rooms will be identical. The offices will be identical for each team, so there will not be one lead team over another one if the NFL actually decides to locate two teams here. Capacity up to 80,000 square feet. That's 80,000 seats. Actually, it's about 75,000 seats that can be expanded, obviously, for Super Bowl. We're designing 4 Super Bowls to occur here. Flexible seating bowl so that we can do multi-purpose events. So if it's the Inglewood High School football playoffs, we could downsize to a couple thousand there, and so it'll be flexible so we can use it more than just for the NFL. And then we're also building that 6,000 seat performance art venue as well. Next slide. Next slide. Everybody knows this site, right? I mean, at this point now, when I fly in, I'm always on the right side of the plane, as Councilman's saying, so I can look down and see on the site here. Everybody that comes into from around the world, the first thing that they see before landing into LAX is actually the Hollywood Park site. And so we're actually looking at now with the expansion of the actual property itself, going to nearly 300 acres, we've come up with a central master land plan that basically creates a central public park space right dab smack in the middle of the property. And from that, we're then able to divide the property into into a couple different districts that reflect both the community and what's coming up in the new project. Next slide. So what we wind up having is a residential area that matches the existing residential areas. And then that moves over into parking that mirrors what's kind of going on historically with the Forum in the northern portions of the lot. And then to the east, the commercial corridors that sort of mirror what's down Prairie Boulevard now. And then along Century Boulevard, we have the retail districts that keep on with where the Home Depot and everything else is. And so you have a continuous sort of land plan that fits into the existing city structure, but adds a lot of public space with the parks being in the middle of the property. Next slide. And so you've seen this in the press and the newspapers for the most part, but you've got your retail center here, which you've seen kind of traditionally here. That retail center has expanded from 600,000 square feet to about 800,000 square feet because we come into more of a sports and entertainment zone. Office spaces, which to me is actually the biggest part of this, is that we have a great sports and entertainment district, but we're adding about 800,000 seat Class A office building. There is no Class A office buildings within this region. And so this takes advantage of what's kind of going on south of us with the expansion of the aerospace industry. As you know, a lot of El Segundo is coming back in a very robust and aggressive manner with SpaceX and Tesla hiring at an alarming rate. To the west of us here, Silicon Beach, now in the Playa Vista area, tons of office space. Most of that's all leased up. This gives us a great opportunity to bring really robust white-collar jobs into the Inglewood area. And then, of course, the Sports and Entertainment District that's going to be also embedded, and then your residential areas towards the back area here. We have hotels, a hotel planned actually over the lake area. We're building that lake that we talked about. It just now looks a little bit different. If you remember, it looked sort of like a figure eight. Now it's going to actually match some of the architecture relating to the stadium itself. Next page. One of the other things, too, is that we are looking at that this is going to be a very green environment. Unlike Hollywood Park before, you know, one of the negative parts about the track before was just all asphalt, right? When you came down Prairie or you came down Century, it was just all asphalt until you got to the buildings. Other than a couple little ribs of palm trees, there was not much to the landscaping here. So this is going to be a very robust landscaping. Again, Mia Lair and Associates are the landscape architects. If you look up Mia Lair and Associates, they're award-winning throughout the world, and they're coming here to do this project. And we're going to take advantage of the different, what we call biomes. There's only 7 places in the world that have this climate, and Inglewood is one of them. And we're going to take advantage of that climate and add a lot of the indigenous plant sources that are endemic to the Southern California region, and they're going to be here on this site. And the idea is that once you actually complete this, this will be someplace where, you know, our high school kids can be actual docents explaining how landscape works, how a sustainable environment works, and that's exactly what we're trying to do here. So everything from desert to the upper and lower mountain range to chaparrals and to riparians are all going to be replicated here, and it's going to look completely like Southern California, and that is going to actually blend into a lot of the architecture of the stadium itself. Next slide. So one of the things we did in subsequent to this is that unlike the stadiums that you see throughout the world that sit way above ground, this stadium is going to be embedded in the ground about 100 feet. That's going to lower the profile so that it actually doesn't tower over but becomes a part of the overall landscape. In addition to that, what we talked a little bit earlier about the different types of plant and landscaping that will be a part of that, it will also blend in with the building itself. And so that certain sides of the building will look like trees and forest areas. Other side will look like the sustainable environments that you're seeing going up everywhere, the desert areas and so forth. And so that's going to be part of the way in which this sort of blends in more holistically to the area as opposed to just sitting outside as this lone building. Next page. Again, the events that we're planning for are just a little bit more than just 10 games of NFL activity. We want the NFL draft here. We want to be the primary spot when Los Angeles goes after the Olympics. NFL networks, that's part of the office environment that we're going after. Lots of community events from farmers markets to you name it. We're going to have there's a big open area that's very you know, if you've been to the Getty Museum, you'll see a lot of similarities to that that'll be open to the public. Final Four, concerts, park activities, tons of parks. 26 acres of public parks are going to be added to this project. Soccer, X Games, we're going after all of it, award shows. Next page. Next page. Again, this question always comes up, and especially when one of our competitors downtown had a very false report that was just, you know, everybody sort of laughed at it and kind of went away and actually tripped them up quite a bit, was the FAA height limit. We are close to LAX, and it is part of our overall building design, even before the stadium was designed. All of this has to be approved. There's not, you just can't go and put things up without approvals on that. And that actually work had been done prior to the stadium initiative, and so that actually went into part of the design. One of the reasons we're also sinking the building down 100 feet into the ground. Next page. Next page. Form. A lot of this, so the building has actually this really unique canopy over the sides, on the top of it. And a lot of that form actually allows us to be able to do multiple events besides just football. But we also designed that canopy so that it really looks a lot like Southern California. The waves of the beach area with the curves associated with it. You can't really see these at the very bottom, but a lot of the structures throughout Southern California have these curves associated with it. And so that sort of gave us the idea to come up with this unique building design. Next page. A lot of the verticality associated. So a lot of these support structures that will line the outside of the building are there by design so that they mirror the existing architecture within the city of Inglewood. So this is the Forum building right next door to us here. And you know those vertical lines that you see associated with it? We're going to continue to carry that theme so that it just looks like all one cohesive area as opposed to something separate and apart from the next. Next page. That roof structure, clear on top. We'll talk about a little next slide here about the substance that it's going to be made out of called ETFE, which is this hard plastic that's stronger than glass and yet about 0.1% of the weight of glass. That will be the top covering of that building. A lot of passive cooling here is going to be incorporated into the design with louvers that actually open and close the top of the building. But the passive design is actually to use these wonderful breezes that come through here to actually cool the stadium itself. Next page. This is that ETFE. And you saw a lot of it. If you saw the last Olympics, there was a stadium in Beijing called the Bird's Nest that gave that really sort of iconic piece to it. That's the same materials that I'll be using here. So things can be reflected on it. The colors can change. You can do different things to really give a really nice feeling to the overall building. Next page. Again, this is how that roof structure is going to be built. If you're looking here, this would be off of Century Boulevard looking down into the property. And you'll see how that building curves down into the land. But these are the roof structures that ultimately will build that structure. It's actually like a big span bridge that would be built. Next page. And that gives you kind of the overall vision of the property itself. Next page. This is kind of looking at one side of the lake. Again, looking at kind of coming into that sports entertainment district before you look over into the building itself. So again, you could host anything there, you know, the Grammys, everything can be hosted there because of the way the property is actually being put together. Next page. This is kind of looking over one side of the park. And again, you see that big structure of the curve going over the stadium itself. Open air, so you still feel like you're outside with a little bit of a covering associated with it. Next page. This is that end looking back towards one of the, looking out from the park, but also kind of back into the some of the residential properties. And so you see how the building comes down real low and lands right into the actual ground itself. Next page. This is looking over the park. This is going to be one of the public parks that basically anybody can go. This is going to be open. This is not going to be like you can't come to Hollywood Park. You as a resident can come and spend some time at the park itself, spend some time over the lake, and in the back of this will be the structure that is actually, I mean, it will be one of the most iconic buildings in the world. People will come here just to look at the building besides just a game. But one of the things you see here is this big roof, but here's this open plaza where a lot of things can occur in these plazas. Like if you've ever been up to the Getty and they've got little performance art things in that would occur, we would be doing the same thing here. So the idea is to keep this active all year round as opposed to just a stadium and a field of parking. Again, this park space is just absolutely beautiful. You'll be able to go from park to park. It'll all interconnect with bike paths and walking paths. And so if you want to jog around or walk around the facility, you'll be able to do that. If you're used to doing it at the Forum, you'll be able to come right next door and do it here through these really wonderful parks. Next page. Next page. These are these concourses that, again, will get you into the structure. But one of the things we're also doing here, you can't see it here, but there's this timeline here. And what we plan to do is add a lot of Inglewood history throughout the building. And so this will talk about everything from Daniel Freeman, you know, finding this, to the bean fields that used to be here, to the chinchilla farms, to you name it, with these historical timelines all the way throughout different portions of the building. So when people come outside of the area, they'll actually learn a little bit about the history of the city. that it's actually, much more than people perceive it to be. The other thing, too, is that the metal portions of this building are designed in such a way that it gives some sense of transparency. So you have different types of shadowing and light all out throughout the building. So it's almost like you'll be on stage as soon as you walk into the building because of the way the metal fabrication will be done on the perimeter of the building. Next page. So again, this kind of gives you a little bit of the detail here. And you can kind of sort of see here is not great resolution here, the kind of reflective light that will be on people as they walk through the various portions of the building. This is that canopy, again, that big open area that will be open to public space. It's almost like another mini park. And again, if you've been up to the Getty Museum and a lot of the open area that is there, where you might have a small little, violin concert, or you might have an art show, all that would be able to occur, and that would be open to the public as well. Next page. These are, again, the parks we were talking about. They're going to meander all through the structures. This is one of the entrances into the building, again, because it's sunk down into the ground. And that park and those riparians and desert landscaping and everything will run into the actual building itself. And so that it just seems like it's a part of the landscaping as opposed to something separate. This is actually going to be an amazing feat, actually, when we get this done. Next page. This is actually looking in the stadium, inside the stadium. Again, you'd be entering in about this level, coming down into the stadium. And one of the other things, too, from a technology standpoint, it's going to be one of the most advanced buildings in the world. These are all LED type of screens where you'll be able to watch the game. From whatever areas into this, all this will connect into your cell phones and your smart tablets, and so you'll be able to get live statistics as games are going on, look at other games that are going simultaneously. It's going to be it's just absolutely going to be fabulous. Next page. Again, that's just kind of a number, another view of actually the plan itself. And that's it. I don't think there's any more after that. Okay. And that's it. I'll take questions if you have any.
We have a lot of hands here. All right. All right. Let's do the young lady right over here in the purple. There you are. Right there. Please stand. Thank you.
I'm Doris Silsby, and I've been here for 61 years now, and I think that's wonderful. I wonder, when I go to the stadium, will there be an elevator for me to go up and down? And where will I park my car?
Absolutely. This will be a number of different elevators to get people up and down as opposed to escalators and so forth as well.
And restrooms?
Tons of, yes, all that good stuff will be associated. And a much more modern building. I know, one of the things they did next door with the Forum was upgraded and added new bathrooms because they were never enough. Most people don't know, years ago I used to manage that building, and one of the most difficult things was the eras in which it changed. It was just sort of like a whole lot of men's restrooms and just, troughs and stuff. I mean, it wasn't really a very sophisticated building. And they had to upgrade that over the period of time. And actually, just recently, they did a huge upgrade to that. We've accounted for all that into this building. So, yes, it'll be a very accessible building. There's lots of parking. There's 9,000 open spots just for the stadium, another 3,500 next door. Overall in the area is about 44,000 parking spaces. We have a lot of parking associated with it, but a lot of that be available. We're also tying in with the local transit system.
The Florence and Hillcrest train station. Instead of having the car traffic, we're trying to now have you to be on a last mile run to be able to use public transit, but be above grade. So we're looking, think of, if you've been to Las Vegas recently, they actually have like a bubble where it just goes around and around like a Ferris wheel in a circle. But picture that bubble to now be part of a last mile monorail system to go all the way and drop you off at the Forum, drop you off at the stadium in the destination side of the Hollywood Park, and then wrap back around into downtown Inglewood. So we're looking on that. Funding's already been reached out to, and we're going to do our best to provide that as well. Any other question? Young lady over here.
First, I would just like to say I'm very excited about this. I've been looking forward to it for a while. I have a concern, and it could be irrational, but my concern is that it will be so great and grand, and I'm so excited about that, but will it take all the attention to where people will only be focused on this, and then the other parts of Inglewood will seem lesser? I mean, as far as like, I work in Playa Vista, and that community is just, they made it to where Playa Vista is the only great space. And then all the areas around are kind of lesser. So I don't know, is this area going to have a special name, or is it just going to be Inglewood? Because I want it to just be Inglewood, not just this special place, and all of our areas are not included with this specialness.
Well, that's a hard question to address. So, the name. There will be naming rights sold for the name of the building. Like downtown was going to be called, what, Farmers Field. That's going to be part of the thing that actually pays for the building. Farmers Field sold for $700 million for a building that wasn't even built. At some point, it will have a sponsor name. Like the forum used to be called, what, the Great Western Forum. And so that's part of the AT&T field in Dallas is AT&T as opposed to just a building or Dallas. So the building itself will at some point have naming rights associated with it. That's just how these things sort of part of the financing plans associated with it. The structure, yes, the structure, the other part too is that we're designing this whole thing to be a destination site for the entire region. And the other thing that we did is also we incorporated it so that it blends into the neighbors, like we did residential where residential is. So so if you live in the Renaissance or 11th Avenue, it's not just a new area, it's just an adjacent community to your community. Likewise with the retail centers associated with Century Boulevard. So the idea, and we're widening Century Boulevard now so that it just all cohesively looks like one. So when the stadium is dark on that end, it still is a part of the retail fiber that has been developed by the city of Inglewood over a number of years, from Crenshaw all the way down to basically our property. The other thing you need to know is that a lot of the properties that have empty properties that are up and down Prairie and Century Boulevard are being bought as we speak by other outside investors looking to develop that. So it has a ripple effect that goes beyond our property. I think the city is working on a project to redo downtown Market Street, and so that first RFP has been awarded, and the crowning part next to the station is under planning now. So there's a lot of stuff that's happening outside of our property, and this is just one of the catalysts that gets that started.
Okay, lady in the back.
Yeah, right here.
Okay. Commissioner
Yeah.
Agee?
Thank you, sir. You know, I've been involved for 18 years, city council meetings every night. And I think I can say this. We have the best council staff in the United States. Believe me. I've been through the good times, I've been through the bad ones. And believe me, these are the good times. I take my hat off to all of the councilmen, staff. Gerard, he's been struggling for 10 years. Look at him now. Look at him now. Proud of you, brother.
Thank you.
Look here. Who said we couldn't do it? We're going to do it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You know, and just to piggyback on that, to let you know in terms of us getting started, there'll be an RFP out on the streets next week from the city side looking for professional services relating to a number of different areas, MEP, structural, to augment the amount of work that we're going to be coming in about the next 6 weeks. And so, you know, we are well under our way.
Comment. I'm pretty excited about the new Hollywood Now too, but my question was, in the beginning you were saying something to the effect that this building will now be facing Century, so is this building going to be redone, or are they just going to turn it around, or?
Yeah, so we're going to build a brand-new building, a brand-new casino. When you walk out that staircase that takes you down to the parking lot, if you kept walking to your left, and right on the end of the building here, you'll see a pad that's being laid. That's where the brand-new building will go that will replace the casino. And once that's up, this will be knocked down.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be an entire new complex overall.
Hi. Question for you. When they blew up the Airport Park Hotel, I missed it. I don't want to miss this one. When are they going to do it? Are they going to let us know when that's going to happen?
We will let you know 2 weeks prior to. We don't have an exact date. I know everybody tries to get us to an exact date, primarily because the remediation that takes place is taking a little longer, and we have to have the clearance first. One of the things that some people might remember, the grandstands burnt down in the 30s. And then they built a brand new building on top of the burnt down grandstands. So, fast forward to today, and our guys are in there, I think we've got it. They keep getting into more and more stuff that was just historically left over that has to be remediated so that there's no hazardous materials before we take the building down. So we don't know an exact date. It keeps moving. We're thinking it's sometime in May. And the other thing, too, is that unlike the airport hotel, we're going to have to do it early Sunday morning, like 6 a.m., 7 a.m., because of the approval we need for the clearance for the FAA. And so as soon as we get that, we'll notify all the council people. If you're on their email list, Councilman Franklin has a very robust, and he gets information out like faster than we do. You'll know that we'll be taking the building down that morning. And quiet as it's kept, it's not as grand as the hotel was. I don't know if you've seen those implosions that happen in Vegas and those multiple where they pancake down. This is really just a shell, and there's nothing left pretty much in it. And so it's going to be boom, 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 boom. It's not, because it's not floors, there's nothing to it. It's actually not that, but I know it's historical, and so we will definitely let you know at that point. The clearance area is quite wide, so we'll probably have an area close to almost the forum that you'll be able to look over and see that. That's going to be the legal requirement for us to kind of keep everybody safe associated with it.
So there was actually, I'm not really sure your question has been answered because you kept referencing the hotel, but the casino is not coming down in May. You're only talking about the grandstand, and we're looking a couple of years down the road before this building will come down. So I'll make sure we got that clarified. And just think of where Costco is now, and that's where the future casino is going to be built. But all the buildings on this structure, on this lot, is coming down, all of it. All right, we have a lot of hands. We've got to keep going. Young lady right here.
Hi, my name is Donna Grimes. I want to know, okay, you said that the building is going to blend in with the landscape. It's not going to be above ground. Is that correct?
It is above ground. It's just not completely up ground. It's 100 feet down into the ground.
Okay, so if you're driving around the city, will you be able to see the building?
You'll be able to see certain parts of the building depending on what side of the city you're on, yes.
Just certain parts?
Yeah, because the city landscape, by the way, when you are at the corner of Century and Prairie, there's a 45-foot climb to the back of the property. It doesn't look like it now, but the property is not level. And so the city actually, if you come like on City Hall side of it, you can see the forum on certain portions of it, but you can't on other areas because the city is just not flat. And so this won't, it depends on what side of the city you come in, you will definitely be able to see the building.
Okay, because I was just concerned because, I'm a photographer, and when I go to different cities, I like to take pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, like even the elderly, you can't get out and go up to a place to see it.
Yeah.
So the only time you can see it is if you're driving around.
Yeah.
And I have a problem sometimes, too, trying to take pictures of buildings and I don't like it when the trees are covering the building and I can't see the building. You know, there's beautiful buildings, and this building is a very
It's-
beautiful
it's
building, and I would
absolutely-
hate for it to be covered up.
Yeah.
And we have people come into town and can't even see it. You know?
Okay.
So I was just wondering if you could see it from.
You'll
if you're
be able to
just
see
driving
it, but the
around.
idea is really for it to feel organic and not just, you know, a standalone. So there'll be certain sides of it will look more lush, like, you know, because of the way it comes down and the way we're building those trees around it. And then other areas, like when you're in the center of that park, you'll be able to see it. The other part, too, is that it's going to be accessible. So it's not going to be like we're gating off 300 acres. Even when the building is closed, you'll be able to walk right into those plazas. You'll be able to walk right into the plazas of it.
I'm not talking about
And
those
so-
that can walk. I'm talking about those that can't walk. There's a lot of
Well,
people that
it'll be an
can't walk.
ADA compliant building, so if you can't walk, as long as you've got a wheelchair, you'll be able to get right up to the building.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
Gerard, good morning. My question that I get from a lot of people, will those lakes be stocked? Or will any of them be stocked with fish?
Yes and no. They won't be stocked with fish for people to fish. They will be stocked with fish for mosquitoes and stuff like that. So they're not, but it's not, you know, it's not fish. Good fish. And by the way, I will stay afterwards if you guys have questions, because I know we're going to run out of time. I'll stay afterwards.
Hi. Hi, you spoke to the traffic and bringing in transportation for bringing massive amount of people in. You referenced Hollywood Bowl and Greek Theater. I wanted to know if you could talk to the concessions that would be made for local residents in terms of handling the traffic. Right now with the forum activities, local residents are truly considered, I think, in terms of blocking off streets, in terms of them getting to their homes when they have these massive events. So if you could talk to that, as well as traffic through the the facility. Will there be a way to drive through the facility from Century Boulevard, let's say, to Penn K?
No. Yes, so you won't be able to drive straight from Century Boulevard through the property itself. If you go back a couple slides here, and actually there's another presentation we've done on traffic impact. Keep going back. Keep going. Yeah, that one. Go one more back. There you go. So this is Century Boulevard here. You will be able to meander, but you really won't be able to get through. It'll be like going through Market Street or something like that. It'll take you forever to get through, but you can get there if you choose to. Folks in the Renaissance area, which we've had a meeting with your HOA, we are building an access road from that crash gate in the back that wasn't complete. That will allow folks to go another exit outside of the Renaissance properties. That will take you right back to Penn K, or you can decide to meander your way through, ultimately getting to Century Boulevard. There is a traffic plan. I can't speak to the forum issue. We are looking at a more global traffic plan, so we're investing in an intelligent traffic system throughout the region that will connect each of these streets and traffic lights. We're widening Century Boulevard. We're adding and parts of Prairie. We're adding turning lanes into the structure. The intelligent traffic system, we're going to be upgrading, I think it's 13, 14 different stops throughout the city. We're going to be doing some improvements down here in Century and Crenshaw, in that turn lane that's really awkward there. We're working with the city in terms of what's happening with Century Boulevard. But I think the key is really, currently right now, I know when the forum has events, it's people out there sort of turning on lights all the way down the street or whatever. This is going to be automated by a computer system that we're investing heavily into. City used to have the most advanced traffic system back when the forum was put up. Remember the reversible lanes and all that other stuff like that? That stopped working in the 90s. We're going to actually resurrect all that, and so that it's not so mechanical, but it's actually a program that gears it. The other thing, too, is our events are kind of Sunday afternoon, so they won't be quite in the same sort of conflict with what's going on with the forum there. The other thing, too, is that we actually are going to coordinate some of our parking, because currently right now they park on our lot at the very top of that. We're also going to coordinate that as well.